Hey guys, this is Alan from Queen Curry Tropicals, and in today's episode I'm going to show you my Ruby Supreme Guava. Now, this is one of those rare varieties that are hard to find, and finding information online about this variety is very difficult, and the stuff that you usually find is not very accurate. So today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about Ruby Supreme Guava, what it looks like, what it tastes like. I'm going to show you the fruit on the tree itself, growing requirements, and pretty much everything you need to know about the Ruby Supreme Guava. Alright guys, so this is my plant right here. It has been in the ground for about 2.5 years. It is, I would say, 8 feet tall, very bushy. Guavas in general, the tropical varieties, which is the Cedian guayabas, are normally bushy unless you trim them otherwise. Mine, I keep it as a bush because if you keep it as a bush, it's actually going to give you a lot more flowers. It's going to have a little more wind protection, and also it's going to provide shade to the fruit so it doesn't sunburn, especially since I live in the desert. So let's look at the fruit itself. The fruit, guys, it looks, for the Ruby Supreme, it looks just like this one right here. You can see it's still attached right here. It has a pear shape. So let me go ahead and pick this one right here. It fell right off in my hand. This is what the fruit looks like, guys. It has a pear shape. As it ripens, it will turn yellow. Now this one's not fully ripened, but the thing with the fruit, guys, is it can go from this pale yellow to fully ripen within just a few hours. So the best time to pick this fruit is gonna be when it looks just like this. So pick it, let it sit on the counter, and within 1 day it will be bright yellow and it will be ready to eat. The reason people like this variety specifically is because, well, it smells amazing. So it's hard for me to describe the smell, so you're gonna have to just trust me. It smells really good. You can tell a guava when it's ripening from, like, 50 feet away easily. Now this fruit right here, the flowers usually in my area happen early summer, and the fruits usually take about 3 to 4 months to ripen. Now let me tell you the main challenges that I have growing this plant. This plant will take full sun anywhere in the United States all day, no problem. Winter protection, guys, in my area this plant will take low 20s Fahrenheit, no issues at all. Now the main problem you're gonna have with this plant is going to be frost. It is frost sensitive, so you gotta frost protect your plant in the winter if you want to be successful growing it. Now the good thing about this plant is if it takes frost damage, it will usually come back in the spring as long as the frost damage is not extreme. And also you gotta make sure your plant is fully rooted in the ground, because if you wait until winter time to plant your tree and you expect your plant to make it through frost, it's not going to happen. A plant that's rooted in the ground will always be stronger than one that is not. The structure of this plant, as I said, it's a bush. The Ruby Supreme will usually get about, you're looking between 10 to 15 feet tall, depending on the conditions in your area. Mine, it's a little small for being about 2.5 years, and the reason for that is because I did not really know how to water this plant, and it suffered. So, for the longest time I was playing catch up, and this plant was just recovering from not being watered enough. So once I figured it out, now it's growing great and then actually holding some fruit. The problem you're gonna have with the fruits, guys, for one, when the fruits are hanging, if the sun hits it directly, and your temperatures are usually 90 degrees plus, give or take, a few degrees, it will sunburn if it has no shade at all. So the fruit will sunburn and they will drop. Now let's say your fruits don't sunburn, like this one right here. This is one of the few ones that I have. So what's gonna happen is when they get this big, this is probably almost, I would say, almost a pound, guys. Maybe 12 ounces or so. So what happens is they get heavy, and we get a lot of wind here, so the wind will knock your fruit off. Now let's say the wind doesn't knock your fruits off. Let's say your fruits make it through the sun, then guess what's gonna happen with the critters? Surprisingly, the birds don't touch them. I don't know why. Maybe they don't like the smell, but the problem is these guys here, they can go from being green like this one right here to yellow to fully ripen within a day. So they ripen very quickly, so you want to pick them very early, because if you don't, they will drop to the ground, and everybody knows it's time for lunch. So they will eat your fruit very quickly. As soon as my fruits drop the ground, guys, the bunnies here have wild rabbits, and then they just destroy the fruit. So for me to get fruit, it's an accomplishment, because I have to deal with the sun, I have to deal with the wind. The fruits that you see on my tree right now, I lost probably about 90% of my crop this year to the wind. So yeah, whatever did in sunburn, the wind got to it. Anyways, guys, Ruby Supreme, this is what it looks like. Growing requirements, the main thing you gotta keep in mind about guava plants, guys, is they have a shallow root system, but it's not just shallow, it's very fibrous. Let me walk over to my potted guava so I can show you. All right, so there's this one here that got knocked over by the wind. This is a 25 gallon, and this is a Ruby Supreme as well. Now the root system, I don't know if you can tell, is very tiny. This plant is completely root bound, guys, but the roots throughout the whole container look just like this one. So in my area, guys, since we don't get that much rain, what you need to keep in mind is you need to keep this plant wet. I'm not exaggerating, guys. You will never be able to overwater a guava plant unless you're lacking drainage. If you're not sure about drainage, I have another video where I talk about drainage for like 40 minutes straight. So go ahead and watch it if you want to learn more about it. But to summarize it, you want your soil to drain within 24 hours, or you want your potting mix to drain water very quickly. But you're gonna have to water your guava plant very frequently. And it doesn't matter how much water you give it at one point or at one time, you have to water frequently, because if you don't, what happens is the root system of this plant in my area, since it gets so hot, even if the soil is moist, it's not able to uptake the water fast enough. It will wilt and die within a few hours in the sun, even if the soil and you know, if the potting mix is wet or the soil on the ground is wet. So you gotta water very frequently. This one right here, right now I'm watering twice a day, and you can tell my environment right now is cloudy. We got some clouds in the sky, and it's not really that hot. But if it was 110, 120 degrees, these guys right here, they can get watered up to 4 to 5 times a day, because if I don't, they wilt. And this plant right here is one of those plants in full sun. If it goes dry, 1 hour in the sun is all it takes to completely destroy this plant. But anyways, guys, this is what the Ruby Supreme Guava looks like. Why is it popular? It is popular because it's extremely similar to a Mexican cream. If you're not familiar with Mexican cream, it is very creamy. You can eat the skin, you can eat everything. It's usually bigger than your regular pink varieties, and it's extremely delicious. Now, you gotta understand, guys, the size of your fruit will depend on the ambient temperatures around your plant. So usually if it's extremely hot here, I live in the desert, so my temperatures vary every single year. So last summer it was extremely hot, and these fruits here were about half the size. If I gave you a tree, a Ruby Supreme, and you got fruit last year, you would have thought I gave you the wrong variety. But the thing is, guys, ambient temperature. If it's extremely hot, the fruits will ripen too quickly. They will not reach full size, and they may not even get like a pear shape. They may stay round because they don't have enough time to fully ripen. The flavor's not gonna be there, so the ambient temperatures are gonna dictate the actual size of your fruit and the flavor. So every year it's a little different, regardless of how you water or how you fertilize. The way I fertilize my Ruby Supreme, guys, is I put a layer of compost all the way around the plant, and then a thick layer of mulch. And that's all I do, because compost has everything your plant needs for most plants out there. So you really don't have to do anything special. If you forget everything I tell you today, guys, and you want to keep your Ruby Supreme or any other tropical guava alive, make sure you water very frequently. Because if you don't, your plant may wilt and die even if the soil is moist, especially if you live in an area that is hot, just like mine. Obviously, if you get rain in your area, guys, if it's very humid, like South Florida or any other tropical places, you are not going to experience the issues that I experience here in the desert. So your fruits are probably gonna be more consistent, and you may have other problems such as rot. If it rains a lot, guys, and this fruit gets wet, what usually happens, they spoil very quickly. So that may be a problem in areas where it's very humid and it rains all the time. But anyways, guys, enough talking. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now, like I said, this is not 100%, but it's close enough. And if I leave it on the counter for, I would say, another 6 hours, it's gonna yellow out a lot more than this. And then it'll be completely 100% ready to go. But I'm gonna go ahead and open this up, guys, right now, so that way you can see what it looks like on the inside. Extremely juicy. You can see the juice just running down, and this is what the inside of a Ruby Supreme Guava looks like. Now the color, guys, is based on the ambient temperatures and you know how fast your fruit ripen. This one right here, it could be a little brighter, but you know what, it's good enough for me. Now is the taste going to change? Just a tiny bit. If you let it ripen a little more than this, it will get a little sweeter, but it's good enough for me. So let me go ahead and try it out, guys, right in front of you, and I guess I'll let you know what it tastes like. The flavor, it's hard to explain. It is very sweet. If you ever had a guava in your life before and it was sweet, you will like all of them. So the main attraction to this one is mainly the size, guys. It's a lot bigger than your regular variety, and it's very creamy too. Guava varieties usually come in two different categories. You're gonna have crunchy and you're gonna have creamy ones. Some people like the crunchy ones and some people like creamy ones. To me, I like the creamy ones, guys. Another good thing about this variety, guys, is the seed to flesh ratio. You can see there are seeds in there. They're a little bigger than normal varieties, but there are not that many in there. And you have a lot of flesh without the seeds. So that's another reason why people like this variety right here. Another variety that's very similar to this one is going to be Barbie Pink. And I don't have any fruits of those right now, but when I do, I'll make another video so that way you guys can compare for yourself. The main reason I'm making this video today is to show you what the fruit looks like, so you know and you're familiar 100% what a Ruby Supreme is supposed to look like. Anyways, guys, hopefully this helps you out. If you have any questions about growing this plant, fruiting, and anything that has to do with this variety or any other guava variety, comment below, and if it's something that I have experience with, I will help you out. If you like the videos, don't forget to like, guys, so that way other people can actually watch them too. And then I will see you next time.